Afternoon, everyone. I figured I would share a few of my encounter stories from my past since the weather is being odd. Typical for Oregon, it'll be sunny one moment and hailing quarter-inch stones on you the next minute. So anyway, I remember coming back with my mom. I think I was about 7 at the time. It's been about 1971. We're driving back from my native grandmother's home in California. And we cut up through the sequoias and we were cutting back over to the Redwoods. And we got caught in a storm. We were driving in a 1952 Dodge pickup truck that had a homemade metal frame camper back stretched over with oil canvas. And then we had paramilitary cots and some military boxes with food and clothes. And my parents were ex-military, World War II, so they saved a lot of stuff. So anyway, we got caught in a really bad rainstorm, and we ended up having to camp unexpectedly. So we pulled in early to a spot that had this kind of a bowl shape to it, and it was next to a river. It was a really beautiful spot, but it also had a Gugwe in it. Anyway, we get down into this spot and we find a section to set up in. We pulled in, had a little bit of cover. There weren't any kind of it was like a Girl Scout camp style camp. So it was like outdoor facilities. It had running water, but it didn't have any leans or anything like that. So no extra protection from the rain. So we ate our meal and we went to bed early. There were only like 2 other people camping with us in that particular area. So we had campers like 2 spots down from us, further down the river, and then we had like, as we came in, there were people camping in that first area. And you had like 3 or 4 cutbacks, get into this camp bowl area. It was, like I said, really beautiful. It reminded me of something straight out of like prehistoric times. Had a lot of big ferns in it. It was really pretty. Old growth stumps and stuff. So, in the middle of the night, our canvas started filling up really bad with water. So my mom started, poking the canvas and draining the water so it didn't drip on us too bad. And that evidently attracted the attention of a cryptid. So initially, this thing walked up on the side of the vehicle, and it started poking at the side of the canvas, investigating it. And it did that like 3 or 4 times down the side of the length on the passenger side of the vehicle, and then it came around to the back where the tailgate was and where we just had like 3 little ties, and the canvas lapped over a little bit to keep you secure from rain, but it didn't fasten down in any way. Now my mom, she motions me to pull my feet up, and we're kind of holding on to each other, and we're kind of cuddled up against the cab, and she's telling me, don't make any sound. And this thing's fiddling with the ties at the back of the canopy. And that goes on for probably 2 minutes. The thing just fiddling with stuff. And it tried to reach underneath stuff, but it didn't find anything other than just the end of the bed. And it kind of shook one of them, shook one of our beds, and that kind of startled us. And Mom, again. So it finally lost interest, couldn't figure out what to do, couldn't figure out how to untie the back of it, thank God. So it walks away. We didn't sleep much after that. Mom let me sleep maybe another hour and a half, because that happened about 2, 3 in the morning maybe. And Mom was up early, false dawn, she was ready to go. And when we crawled out of the back of the vehicle and we looked down, we could see the tracks, and they're probably 18, 20 inches long, if you include the claws. And width, I think, was about 8 inches. And it looked very human, except for the bear-like claws. Now, when you get the argument of whether it's bear or not, there are 2 things to think about. A bear's foot, back foot, has a curve to it. A human foot doesn't, it's straight. So that's one difference. The other is bears do not have an arch. This thing actually had an arch. So it had a very human foot, except for the claws. So those are two things to note. The shape of the foot, whether or not it has an arch, because some of these things will retain an arch. Some cryptids will retain an arch for a very long time, especially the red bone people. That line of people seem to be able to retain an arch in their foot without it breaking down as quickly, because some of the other cryptids will maintain an arch for a while until they reach 300-400 pounds, and then they end up flattening their foot. But the red bone people, they retain an arch. So we got out of there, and as we were driving out, I noticed the thing sitting on the hillside, and I pointed it out to my mother, and it was huge. It was probably scraping 11-12 feet. I mean, at least in my mind at that age, I think I was 7 at the time, and it was wide. It looked really wide. It looked kind of like a gorilla in the body shape, except it still had longer hair and balding. Gugwe, for some reason, are always balding. And, yeah, it was just sitting there watching us. So we didn't go back there to camp. I would love to, but I don't want to be there again.